Hi folks, Ryan Molloy here, managing editor at theseniorlist.com, and today we're taking a closer look at the Jitterbug Smart4 from Lively. The name Jitterbug has long been synonymous with cell phones that are easy to use, and through its simplified menus and voice commands, the Jitterbug Smart4 attempts to streamline the smartphone. This phone also has some optional features like urgent response calling and healthcare hotlines that make it even more useful for older adults. That said, over the years, Androids and iPhones have added many accessibility features, begging the question, is there even a need for Jitterbugs? Let's find out. Before we dive into this review, I'd like to remind you to hit the subscribe button below, and if you want to see more footage of me testing out phones, be sure to also check us out on TikTok and theseniorlist.com. Alright, let's get into it. So at first glance, the Jitterbug Smart4 looks more or less like any other smartphone. It also looks nearly identical to the Jitterbug Smart 3, but I'll say more on that later. On the front, you have a large 6.75-inch touchscreen as well as an 8-megapixel selfie camera. On the side, you have a volume rocker as well as a lock button, and on the bottom, you'll find the USB-C port for charging plus a 3.5mm headphone jack. And finally, on the back of the phone, you'll find 3 cameras, a 13-megapixel camera and 2 cameras rated at 2 megapixel. Overall, the Jitterbug looks more or less like any other Android phone. On the back of the phone, you can even see a TCL label, the manufacturer of other Android devices. And this raises the question, what exactly makes this phone so easy to use? And the answer is its interface. So much like prior iterations of the Jitterbug Smart, the simplicity of the Jitterbug Smart 4 lies entirely in its menu design. Unlike a traditional smartphone, which usually features scrolling windows with icons, folders, and widgets, the Jitterbug's menu is relatively simple and list-based. On the home screen, you'll see large icons for phone calls, text messages, contacts, the camera, etc. And if desired, you can add apps to this home screen list and rearrange them as you see fit. At the top of the screen, you'll also see an urgent response button as well as an options button that allows you to change various settings on the phone. For example, let's say I wanted to download WhatsApp, I could click on the options button, then select download a new app, and then find the app in the Google Play Store. The other components of the interface that I find super useful are the dedicated buttons for back and home on the bottom of the screen. As the names imply, the back button will move you to the prior screen and the home button will send you back to the home menu. And if you've ever given your smartphone to the uninitiated, then you're likely aware how easy it is to get lost in endless menus. You hand your iPhone to your mom to show her a photo album and somehow she ends up deep in your crypto wallet. But since the back and home buttons are always there at the bottom of the screen, the Smart 4 can definitely alleviate navigational confusion. So despite the simplified interface, the Jitterbug Smart 4 is actually a straight-up Android smartphone running on Android 13 to be specific. I'm not sure why you'd want to do this, but if you want, you can even turn off the Jitterbug menu design and use the standard Android one instead. But essentially, all this is to say that the Jitterbug Smart 4 can do anything an Android can. This means you can place calls, send texts, and make video calls. You can browse the internet, check your email, and of course, you can download any of the thousands of apps available on the Google Play Store. You can also utilize Google Assistant voice commands in a number of ways. For example, if I want to check the weather, I can do this. Hey Google, what's the weather like today?
It's 60 and mostly cloudy. Today, it'll be partly cloudy, with a high of 64 and a low of 45.
I can also use voice commands to send a message. Hey Google, send a message to Amy.
Alright, what's the message?
I'm loving my new Jitterbug phone.
I got it. I'm loving my new Jitterbug phone. Ready to send it?
Yes, send.
Sending your message.
So while the voice typing feature is definitely among the more useful features here, I must note that this feature is not exclusive to Jitterbug phones. It's actually standard on Android phones and iPhones. In fact, a lot of the features here that are advertised by Lively are standard on most Android phones. This includes the real-time text feature, which automatically transcribes phone calls into text. You'll find that on any current Android phone. Still, I appreciate that it's here. As I mentioned, the Jitterbug Smart 4 has 3 rear cameras and 1 front-facing camera. And overall, I thought that the images taken with these cameras were pretty solid, particularly for a phone at this price point. Sure, there's some discoloration, and images with direct sunlight tended to be a bit washed out. This phone's cameras can't compete with the ones on Apple and Samsung devices, that's for sure. However, if your loved one is still using a cheap flip phone, this will be miles ahead of it. So as with any phone, you'll have to choose a plan with monthly talk, text, and data. However, in addition to offering talk, text, and data, Lively also offers some extra features that pertain to older adults specifically. The first feature is called Lively Rides. Essentially, by dialing 0, a Jitterbug user can arrange transportation through Lyft, and the cost for the ride will be added to your monthly bill. I mean, sure, Lyft already has a dedicated hotline and allows a person to do this, but I still appreciate the addition on this phone. There's also Lively Link, an app for caregivers that allows them to track your device's location and use. Another useful feature is the phone's urgent response button. By pressing this button, the user will be connected to a 24/7 urgent response call center, wherein the response agent will track your location and send the proper help. Essentially, this works like a medical alert system. The other feature that I found super useful is called Nurse on Call. With this feature, you essentially get access to a nurse hotline. You can call them and ask any health-related questions, you can get common prescriptions refilled, and you can call any time of day, 24/7. And sure, most health insurers and Medicare Advantage plans will have something similar to this type of hotline, but this feature was still pretty useful in my experience. It definitely saved me a trip or two to urgent care. The cost picture for the Jitterbug Smart4 can vary greatly depending on the plan you choose, so let's break it all down. For starters, the phone itself will cost you $149.99. You'll also have to pay an activation fee of $25 or $35, depending on whether you activate over the phone or online on your own. Then, you'll have to choose from one of 3 plans, ranging from $19.99 to $49.99 per month. All of them include unlimited talk and text, so the main differentiators will be extra features that are included. And finally, you'll have to add a monthly data amount. For 1 gigabyte of monthly data, you'll pay $5 per month. For 5 gigabytes, you'll pay $10, and for unlimited data, you'll pay $30 per month. This is all in addition to the costs of your base plan. I should also note that Lively's unlimited data plan will throttle your data speeds after you reach 20 gigabytes in a given month. So they're using the term unlimited very loosely here. And so when you put all the costs together, your one-time costs will be roughly $180, and your monthly charge will be anywhere from $24.99 per month to $79.99 per month. That's a somewhat frighteningly large range, but it's what we're working with here. At first glance, the two phones look nearly identical. Each has a large touchscreen that occupies the front of the phone. However, the Jitterbug Smart4's is slightly larger. Both phones have a screen resolution of 1520 by 720, so the size doesn't really even impact the quality of what's on it. In terms of cameras, on paper, the Smart4 has a higher pixel count, as well as an additional rear camera. That said, the cameras on both phones perform similarly. Images captured with both phones are good enough to capture text and share with friends, but inconsistencies in light and color prevent them from being photo album worthy. The most noteworthy difference between the two phones is battery life. The Smart3 has a battery capacity of 3,500 mAh, while the Smart4 has 5,000 mAh. This translates to the Smart4 having a battery that lasts roughly 50% longer, which was noticeable in our tests. So while both Android phones have an identical set of features, calling, voice commands, apps, etc., the Smart4 moved more quickly. This is possibly due to the more powerful processor used in the Smart4 made by TCL as opposed to the Smart3 made by Alcatel. So overall, here's what I think of the Jitterbug Smart4. On the plus side, this phone is very easy to use. With its bright screen, large text, and streamlined menus, the Jitterbug Smart4 makes its advanced features accessible and intuitive. Even for the most technologically averse person, I could see them picking up and using this phone with ease. I also appreciated the voice commands. Like any Android phone, the Smart4 supports Google Assistant voice commands, allowing you to make calls, dictate messages, or ask questions with your voice. I also appreciated the safety features here. In addition to minutes and data, Lively also offers urgent response features, turning your phone into a personal safety device. And finally, although I did have complaints about activation fees, the Jitterbug Smart4 still costs $150, and as far as smartphones go, you won't find anything much cheaper. As far as the negatives go, there's really not much new here. Save for slight differences in the screen size, battery life, and processing speed, the Jitterbug Smart4 is nearly identical to the Smart3. I also don't like how confusing the whole system of plans and pricing is. All these different safety features coming in different packages as well as separate data allowances is pretty hard to navigate, especially for someone unfamiliar with smartphones, that is, the intended user here. But overall, I think the Jitterbug Smart4 delivers on its mission of providing a simplified smartphone. This phone is easy to use, and while it doesn't make radical changes from its predecessor, what has changed is much appreciated. And with the phone costing $150 and unlimited talk and text starting at $25 per month, there's hardly a better deal in wireless, simplicity aside. What about you guys? Have you tried the Jitterbug Smart4? Would you buy it for your loved ones? Let us know in the comments, and if you want to read our full written review of this phone, click the link in the description. See you next time.